Hello and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are playing through the closing chapter. So as we left off, Chiaki slipped over our house, accidentally picked up the phone when Setsuna called, caused a big misunderstanding, and now we're in class.
3限目2時40分過ぎ。
もうそんな時間か。今日は朝からよく勉強した。
本当に期待を裏切らないコメントだな。これからゼミ行くぞ。
ああ、行ってらっしゃい。私は帰って寝直すわ。
へえ。
お前も行くんだよ。当然だろ。せっかくちゃんとレポートやってんだから教授に進捗報告をだな。
そんなの春樹がやっといてよ。私が報告するよりあんたから言った方が教授も信じるでしょ。
Unfortunately, probably true.
その壊滅した信頼関係を少しでも回復したいとか思わないのかよ。
大学なんて在籍できてりゃいいのよ。それじゃおやすみなさい。
Yeah. Haruki, this is definitely a weakness of his, is he needs to fix everybody. He needs to help people. This is just like him and Toma trying to get her to graduate.
こら起きろ泉。お前このままじゃ卒業もおぼつかないって本当に分かって。
おー、やっと見つけた。ハルキ。
Takeya!
Takeya?
It's been so long. A familiar figure with a familiar voice approaches me from the opposite direction of where waves of people are rushing out the door.
お前探したぞ。なんでこんな北の最果てにこそこそ隠れてんだよ。
それはな、ここ3号館が俺のホームグラウンドだからだ。
Building 3 in the north is the main building for the literature department, and this guy's public policy department, Building 6, is all the way in the south.
いつの間にか文学部なんかに逃げやがって。おかげで金借りることもままならないだろう。
That's why, unless one of us deliberately wanted to, there's only a very slim chance that we would just happen to run into each other.
で、いくらだ？悪いけど万は貸せないぞ。あと返済期限は今年中に。
So basically anything under $100.
そんなケチな用事できてねえよ。飯なら曜日ごとに食わせてくれる子が7人いる。
Well, aren't you lucky, Takeya?
お前はどうして今でもイオと友達でいられるんだろうな。
At first, it was just his attempt to make her jealous and gain a reaction, but they ended up unable to break away from those old facades, no matter how many years it's been. That's not to say Io's without fault, seeing how she won't give him a proper reaction.
それより今は俺じゃなくてハルキのことだ。お前、一体何言ったんだよ。
何も。
I hate the fact that I can tell who Takeya's talking about just from his expression and the way he's purposefully being unspecific.
そんなはずないだろう。お前らと何年一緒にいると思ってんだよ。
本当に何も言ってない。それどころかここ1週間話してもいない。少なくとも俺は。
Come on, you know exactly what he's referring to. Just be upfront. This is what I mean. Even if he's not lying, like, Haruki is definitely kind of lying. It's Thursday already. It's been over 168 hours since then. See, he's obsessed. And the answer is so simple. Just pick up your phone and dial her number. And, oh.
じゃあ逆パターンか。またシカトしたのかお前。
そんなことしてない。自発的には。
You are, because she called you and you haven't called her back. What happened was a complete accident. I shouldn't need to get questioned by Takeya like this because of that.
なんでだよ、ハルキ。いつまでこんな状態続けるんだよ。
I'm glad he's saying something too. A good friend tells you when you've done something wrong.
何もしてないって言ってるじゃないか。
I don't want him to cover for me either.
あんないい子いないだろう。でさえすりゃ絶対ミス北条取れるくらい可愛くて、なのに家庭的で一途で。おかしいぞあのバランスは。
そうだよ。俺とはレベルが違うんだ。最初から交わるはずがなかったんだよ。 俺たち。
But she loves you.
本気で言ってるのか。
タケヤ、俺は。
ってお前が自分の言ったことを冗談だなんて認めるわけないわな。
Takeya and I. Takeya, Io, and I. Just how many times have we had this exact same conversation before?
でもせつなちゃんだって認めるわけがないんだよ。お前のこと嫌いなんて、二度と会いたくないなんて。
The three of us, the things I've done to Setsuna, and the awful way I handled things afterward.
で俺は春樹とせつなちゃんのどっちを選べと聞かれたら、それも迷いなく彼女についてくって決めてるわけ。
Ooh, wow. Despite knowing how terrible I am, and knowing that I'm the sole person at fault, these guys are still desperately trying to patch things up between us.
イオだって同じこと言ってる。だからな春樹、お前がいくらだだこねようと、俺たちの中じゃもう過半数は取れてんだよ。
They're telling me I still have a way of making it up to her. In the end, not only I, but she'll be saved as well.
もう一度ちゃんと話せって。今のお前たち見てられないんだよ。
Exactly. And I do want to point out, I don't feel like people have to be together. You know, if they truly didn't want it, that's fine. Friends should just let off, it's their lives. But they're both stuck in this horribly odd depression. And so that's where, yeah, the friends are getting involved. And Takeya's saying, dude, you need to do something. So I respect him for that. They're still stubbornly holding on to such a convenient, fairy tale-like conclusion. All the while putting their own relationship on the shelf.
とにかく近いうちに連絡入れるんだぞ。なんなら俺がセッティングしてやっても。
あのさ、タケヤ。
お
Thank you.
悪い。そろそろゼミあるから。
春樹。
Takeya's concern really makes me happy. And Io's as well, seeing how she's probably the one pulling all the strings. But I'm no longer someone who can just accept something so precious.
また今度飲もう。電話する。たまには男同士差し向かいでな。
Because no, neither of them really know. Neither of them know the true severity of what I've done. That's right. They have no idea at all. They don't know the Setsuna from back then. Setsuna's true self, who appeared at the final moment and at the very end of everything, whose wounds I find myself impossible to believe will manage to heal someday.
だから待てっての。まだ話は終わってないんだって。
なら手短に話せよ。前振り長すぎるんだよ。
彼女さ、今週の土曜医学部の男連中とのパーティーに出るんだとさ。主催のやつらさっきからもうこの話で持ちきりで。
パーティーくらい普通だろ。何慌ててんだよ。自分が行けないからか。
確かに男は医学部しか行けないけど、俺の言いたいのはそんなことじゃなくて。
合コンみたいなものだろ。そんな程度でこの剣幕だったのかよ。いくら刹那だからって。
俺が手に入れた情報だと、そのパーティーちとヤバいかもしれないんだよ。
相手がうちの医学部じゃな。俺たちが張り合おうにも肩書きじゃ勝負にならないな。
I mean, the medical students are pretty well wanted because that's a very lucrative career.
確かに女の子の方でもチケット手に入れるの結構難関らしい。まあせつなちゃんは主催が口説き落とした方だけど。
そりゃ仕方ないだろ。悔しかったら医者になれ。俺は血が苦手だからごめんだけど。
だからヤバいってそういう意味じゃなくて、女の子騙して薬使うってそっち方向。麻酔とか肺になるやつとか。
That is pretty intense.
都市伝説だろ。医学部に対するやっかみから生まれた。
まあ今のところ半々よりちょいしたくらい。
くだらねえ。 医学部のやつらには黙っといてやるから、あんま広めるなよ。
心配じゃないのか。
ガセネタ相手に何を心配しろって。
御宿の菱島ビル5階にあるイタリアンレストランで19時から。場所は東口の一番奥の23番出口から。
He is very well informed, Takeya.
じゃあな。
Haruki, at least listen.
春樹。
ああ、終わった？
聞いてた。
さあ。
By the time Takeya got to me, Izumi had already swiftly made her way out of the lecture hall. And she apparently waited out here quietly until our conversation was finished.
ま、別にいいけど。
あ、そのセリフ、なんか私っぽい。
シールか。ゼミ行くぞ。
Another sequence of footsteps that are only slightly slower than my own follows me as I head to the seminar room. And I thought she was fully intent on going home just a minute ago.
やっぱさ、電話した方がいいんじゃない？
聞いてた。
さあ。
Not an old friend like Takeya and Io, but more than just a regular friend in the same department. I'm just a little bit grateful for this sort of distance between us. She's the only one who would casually step in and ask about something like this, and would know to not cross any boundaries she shouldn't.
あ、ところでさ、春樹。
ん
？9900円貸してくれない？2年前入りの時に返すから。
She overheard us telling Takeya nothing over 5 digits, so 9,900 yen.
聞いてただろ全部。
That's so funny.
つまらん。
Oh, she mad.
客観的すぎ。杓子定規。枯れてる淡白熱くない。こんなの拾ったコメントを羅列しただけ。
She's talking about the first draft of my first solo assignment that I've finally submitted.
一体何なんだこの打文。読めば読むほど気持ち悪くなってくる。得意なのは雑用だけだった？頭使う仕事は無理？
Ouch. Even if one were to describe her current actions as teaching someone strictly to improve them, her sudden criticism is actually unbelievably harsh.
いや、これスキル云々じゃないな。あまりにも問題外すぎる。お前、読者に何も伝える気ないだろ。
Well, it's not like I'd believe those comforting words anyway. If I were to be asked why, I can only say that Mari-san's expression gave it all away.
マリさん、そのくらいにしといた方が。
そうそう、北原バイトだし、自分で書くのは初めてだし。
Because...
初仕事で頼まれてもいない提灯記事書くやつがいるか。しかも提灯なのにこびてもいない。最低だこんなの。
Youch. I mean, you don't want to write something that's just boring, otherwise it just sounds like a Wikipedia article. If she were only upset because the article's worth less than the paper it's printed on, she probably wouldn't be having such an obviously irritated expression on her face right now.
北原、一体どうしたんだお前。いくらなんでもこんな読んでもしょうがない文章を書くやつじゃなかったろ。
I'd also mention how she's talking more like a man right now. Okay, that's a teeny bit sexist. What, women can't criticize people in the workplace? Women can't be angry? That's not cool. Not cool, Haruki.
今回の記事、何のためにお前を起用したと思ってるんだ。
俺が東間和さんの同級生だったからです。
そうだよ。お前の人脈とかもともと持ってる情報量とか、そういう部外者にはないアドバンテージに期待したんだ。
はい。
それがなんだこれ。そこらの子供だって聞き出せるコメントばかりじゃないか。これなら松岡の方が全然マシ。
That is so rude to, to Matsuoka. Oh my goodness.
ほらほら松岡、やったじゃん。あんたマリさんに認められてるよ。
No, not really.
こんな評価のされ方はさすがに嫌。
No.
Down.
いや、ますますテンション上がらないかそれ。
After finishing the drink on our desk in a single swig, Mari-san tries her best to look calm and composed.
お前な、人とつながってないとこの仕事できないよ。
Ooh, and she just drives that right into his heart, and this is true. Haruki can't connect with people, and even people he's forming connections with, like Chiaki, he's still, like, actively keeping her at a distance.
すいません。
She's also trying her best to correct her tone.
そりゃ北原は暗いし、冗談通じないし、融通きかないけど、コミュニケーション能力がないわけじゃないと思うのよ。
そりゃ事実だけど、もうちょっと部下に対して優しさというか。
いえ、マリさんの言う通りですから。
All of what she'd said is quite fitting of someone like me, and I think of each and every word she'd just said as a truth that I have no intention of denying. Even up until now, I managed to interact with others. There were even times I was so deeply involved that people found me annoying. This excludes a certain special someone with some special qualities, though.
もうちょっと彼女の素顔に迫れないかな。探せばいるだろう誰か。昔の担任とか親友とか彼氏とか。
一人だったんですよ、いつも。
It's more appropriate to say that she was the one who was actually unable to communicate with others. That's why there's no one at school who knows about her true self. And it's because of the fact that they know nothing about her that they're showering her with all this exaggeratingly flowery praise this time.
ほらそれ。
え？
東間和沙はいつも一人だった。どうしてそう書かないの？
それは。
ちゃんと本当のこと掴んでるじゃない。なんで出し惜しみするの？
But I wrote those comments down as they were precisely because they didn't know enough to say anything other than those insincere compliments. That said, I'm exactly the same as everyone else on the surface. I acted as if I knew nothing, and I didn't go out of my way to want to know anything. It's only natural that something like this wouldn't sit well with Mari-san.
同級生に配慮した？せっかく賞も取ってこれからって時にネガティブなこと書いて足引っ張りたくなかった？
いえ、違います。
I just didn't know how to write it. I was completely incapable of thinking about her. Rather, I didn't want to think about her.
そんな配慮はまず面白い記事を書いてから考えなさい。それこそ10年早いわ。
I decided to tackle it myself to throw away my doubts and hesitations, only to keep running away from it all and end up with this worthless mess. I'm such an idiot. To think I let my awful self that hurt the one I love get in the way of what I wanted to do.
というわけで、総没。さてどうする？
Headed for the shredder. It's so harsh. It's so funny.
今までのは取材内容も含め全部捨てます。
投げ出すってこと？
いえ、やり直します。まるっきり中身変えます。主観入るかもしれません。
今回は最初からそういうのを望んでる。今まで北原が勝手に履き違えてただけよ。
あと、もしかしたらチェック通らないかも。
そんな危ない話が書けるなら大したもの。その時は大喜びで破り捨ててあげるわ。
because this means that Haruki is going to be actually expressing himself, and he hasn't been able to do that in so long. And whether Mari-san knows it at this point or not, she is doing him such a big favor. That's why we need to talk to so many different people in our lives, just because we get helped by these little things.
確か締め切りは来週末でしたよね。
それは最終だから。次のバイトの日までに持ってきなさい。
わかりました。
The next time would be Tuesday. In other words, I'll need to have it rewritten by Monday, huh?
それじゃあ私はこれから会議だから今日はもう帰っていいわ。お疲れ様。
はい、失礼します。
Having laid out instructions that seemed too strict for a student but expected for an employee, Mari-san makes her way out the editing department's doors.
まあなんだ気にするなって。
そうそう北原くんバイトなんだからさ、もともとハードルが高すぎるんだよ。
Afterward, the department's members gathered around and started cheering me up.
大丈夫です。マリさんの指摘は全部正しいですから。俺が気にしようが気にしまいが。
やっぱ気にしてんのね。
I mean a little bit, but it's for your own good. It's probably thanks to these caring colleagues that Mari-san can be strict to her subordinates without worrying too much.
な、北原。今から飲み行くか。俺も今日デスクにいろいろ言われちゃってさ。お互い溜まってること吐き出そうぜ。
お前は誰も帰っていいなんて言ってないぞ。俺が頼んだ修正ちゃんと今日中に終わるんだろうな。
25時頃駅前で待ち合わせにしない？俺の口が倍に増えそうなんで朝まで飲み明かそうぜ。
いえ、帰ります。早速家で書き直しやりたいんで。
Or maybe it's because of these caring colleagues that Mari-san has no choice but to be so strict to her subordinates.
まあ、根詰めるなよ。どうしても進まなかったら相談乗るからさ。
ありがとうございます。それじゃあ失礼します。
お疲れ。
いいな、もう帰れて。
There's only 3 days till my next deadline. Since I'll be working at Goodies tomorrow, I actually only have 2 days. Before those 2 days are up, I'll have to prepare an article packed with much more content than a week's worth of interview comments. The problem isn't with the time I have, nor the available content. I have more than enough of both. There's just one thing. Am I actually capable of putting my thoughts onto paper? Will I be able to bring myself to show others what I alone know about her true self? That's a tough one.
皆さんおはようございます。
おはようございます。
本日の早番のシフトですが、スタートはホールが中川さん、飯山さん、水原さん、キッチンが本田くん、下田くん、佐藤の6人体制になります。
It's Saturday, 9:30 a.m.
ただ誰かが休憩の時は北原さんにヘルプで入ってもらいますので、いつもよりは余裕があると思います。
This is my second day of working here again at Goodies since half a year ago.
あと研修期間中の杉浦さんですが、今日から徐々にホールに入ってもらいます。皆さんもサポートしてあげてください。
しばらくはご迷惑をおかけするかと思いますが、なんとか早く皆さんの邪魔にならないよう頑張りますので、どうかよろしくお願いします。
Oh, she's so sweet and so cheerful. I love it. Do our best. Oh. At the same time, it's also the second day that this girl, who's bowing deeply before us right now, Sugiura Koharu, will be working here. She's definitely not some weakling who'd be discouraged by what happened last time, though I more or less expected as much.
それじゃあ解散します。各自開店準備始めてください。
After our morning meeting, which acting manager Sato handled better than expected, everyone heads off to their stations. That leaves me stuck here exchanging awkward glances with Sugiura-san, who's essentially on standby until she's given a particular task, while I haven't been given a particular position either. No, I'm actually the only one between us who doesn't appear to be very happy right now. On the other hand, she's been intently staring at me for a while, without even moving so much as a muscle. Well, I suppose she's probably waiting for me to give her instructions or something, but she doesn't need to look so scary now, does she?
あのさ、
開店直後にホールに入りたいと思うんですが。
She wants to get away from you. Just as I was no longer able to stand another moment of our current atmosphere, she breaks the silence between us without any hesitation.
まだお昼時には早いので、お客様も大した数は来店しないと思います。多分それほど周囲に迷惑はかけません。
I mean, that's a good thought.
杉浦さん。
それでも私のせいで回転が悪くなったら、先輩がフォローに入ってください。私の教育係なんだから、それが仕事ですよね。
Calling him a senpai, it's so cute. Rather than say she's finally broken the silence, she's already gone as far as to start spouting out things nonstop since a short moment ago.
多分11時過ぎ頃から私がいたら回りきれなくなるので、そこからは見学します。先輩はそのまま13時までヘルプに入っててください。
She's really thought this over.
13時からは私の教育をお願いします。自分でも質問をまとめておきますので、なるべく効率的に進めましょう。次にホールに入るのは15時くらいかと思いますが、そのあたりは午前中の私の結果を見て判断してください。
Literally, she's just like Haruki was.
まずはそんなところでしょうか。何か質問ありますか？
That's not what you should be asking. That's what Haruki should be asking.
一つだけ。
何です？
その何か質問ありますかも含めて全部俺のセリフのはずなんだけど。
And when I say my lines, I'm not just referring to the position of the one saying them, but the spoken content as well. After all, the schedule that I'd planned for her is exactly identical to what she just proposed.
他にはないですか？それじゃあ開店です。今日も頑張っていきましょう。
いや、それも俺の。
Is this her way of taking revenge on me? Or is she just trying to cover up her embarrassment? Or perhaps this is simply the way she is? At any rate, Sugiura Koharu's second day at work begins with her forcefully pushing her opinions on me despite being well aware of her place. Quite the bossy one now, isn't she? So cute.
ありがとうございました。合計で3280円に。申し訳ありません。少しだけお待ち願います。先輩、北原先輩。
はい。今行きます。
Oh no.
どうした？
レジが警告音を出して止まってしまいました。私に何か操作ミスがあったんだと思います。
そうか。ちょっと変わって。
待ってください。
何？
もっと私に理解できるように手元を見せながら操作してください。教育も兼ねてるんですから。
She's such a hard worker. I love Koharu.
ああ、悪い。
あれ？今の操作何ですか？
リセットするときはこうやるんだ。これでもう一度最初から伝票を。
その方法は教えてもらってませんけど。
ちょっと裏技っぽい操作だし、おいおい教えていければいいかなって。
余計な配慮しないでください。その知識が必要かどうかは私が決めます。
He's getting told off by his kohai, by his underling.
余計。
先輩は自分が知っていることを出し惜しみせず、私に全部叩き込んでくれればいいんです。
出し惜しみ。
ほら、お客様を待たせてます。急いでください。あの程度のことも両立できないんですか？
Oh, goodness.
はい、すいません。
ありがとうございました。
ねえ、どうしたの彼女。今日はえらく素直じゃん。
よっぽど先週のあれが効いたのかな。
これを素直と言うんだろうか。
Why do I have to be subjected to her holier than thou way of asking me to teach her things?
ご注文繰り返させていただきます。エッグハンバーグ A セットでライス、食後にプリンパフェですね。
So adorable. Alright, we will stop off here. Thank you so much for joining me on this chapter of the closing chapter of White Album 2, and I will see you next time. Take care.